Hello replay viewers, let me just go ahead and get the camera oriented here. Just a little dip, and there we go. Got a little bit of a different view here. For once, I've actually decided to go ahead and scope from that turned around. There we go. Hello, and welcome. So, this is a continuance of discussions that I've been having about a trip that I'm taking in just a couple weeks' time. I'll actually land in Stuttgart, Germany in 12 days. And as you can see from the title, I'll actually travel to Rome just a few days after I arrive. So, what I like to do at the beginning of these chats, this is probably the 10th chat. What I'd like to do at the beginning is just to update anyone that's watching a replay on what it is that's going on. That way you don't have to invest however long this lasts. Usually they're about a half hour long. To just find out an overview of what it is that I'm doing. So I'll give you a short idea of what's going on about my trip and why it is that I'm scoping it, and then at the end of that overview, which usually lasts about 5 minutes, I will plug my information. That way you only have to invest the first 5 minutes of the scope to figure out what it is that I'm doing and to know if you're interested or not. If you are interested, of course, you can hit the follow button, or you can contact me on any of that social media that I will plug in. And, you can continue discussion from there. So I will be traveling to Germany, Switzerland, and Italy. And like I said, about 12 days. I'll land in Stuttgart, Germany. And from Stuttgart, I'll drive to Rome, Italy. And along the way, I'm actually going to stop in Milan, Italy. And then on the way back up, I'll stop in Verona, Italy. So in both legs of that trip, so going down and coming up, I will stop in the Swiss Alps. And I plan on scoping all of this. So my intentions are to scope at least 3 times a day, once in the morning during coffee time to update everyone with what's going on, just general plans, reflections on the days before, things of that nature. And then at least maybe one update in the middle of the day. And I'm trying to guarantee, beside those 2 updates, one lengthy scope that's going to include a point of interest that maybe I think people would enjoy. So those 3 scopes that I intend to do, as a guarantee, will last at least 30 minutes in length, and those will be informational, and those are going to be the ones where I kind of have an idea of what I'm going to be saying. Besides that, if I see something new, if I see something interesting that I want to share with you guys, even if I'm not per se prepared to talk about it, from an informational standpoint, I will go ahead and scope it. And those may be a little bit shorter in length, and they'll be based off of discussion instead of information. So, welcome to the discussion. So, what I'm doing in this first 5 minutes is just updating everyone what it is, why it is that I'm scoping. The purpose of my trip is there's some people that are scoping in Europe, but not very many of them that are speaking English. So I just figured, bringing an outsider's perspective, I am from America, bringing that perspective to those cities and, bringing English to those cities would be maybe beneficial to some people that have never been there, or people that have been there and just miss it. So I thought that would be good for everyone, and I thought it'd be a great way to have a discussion with everyone. That's okay. I'm patient. You speak enough English to say this. We can continue to talk. So I want to try to bring that discussion. I want to try to bring that to everyone. And on top of that, even if there are people that are scoping right now, maybe in other native languages like Italian or German, I don't really feel like they're showing a lot of the sites. Maybe it's because they're locals and those sites aren't as interesting to them anymore. So I thought I'd bring that to the channel. I look forward to bringing you guys along. If you are watching the replay, or if you're the one that's in the live chat now, if you think that's interesting, hit the follow button. So it's you actually jumped in. We're going to do the discussion right now, but first I'm going to plug my information. So stick around for a second here. We got one in the chat now. Celine, just stick around for a second, and I will we'll have a chat. But right now I'm plugging the information for replay viewers because I've already updated them on what it is that I'm doing, and I want them to know how they can be a part of the discussion on Instagram or on Twitter. So just one moment. For those replay viewers, or for those who are just looking for the update, this is my information. You can get a hold of me on Instagram. You can get a hold of me on Twitter. My About Me has all the information that you can imagine for my social media. I will answer your tweets. I do Instagram photos for any of the scopes that I do. I will put a photo up and I'll put a tag so you know what it is that I'm referencing. So just keep a hold of those or just go to my About Me. So there's that information. That's primarily for the replay viewers. We're just going to go ahead and start talking. If you are watching the replay, there's no guarantees that there'll be anybody in the chat. I'll stick around for about a half hour. I do have another phone with me. So if someone suggests something, I may look it up and we'll have a discussion on what it looks like. But I've had 10 of these chats. Some of them we talk all the way to the end. I've only had one. I had one where I ended with nobody in it. And I've had a few where I ended with one person in it. But there's just no guarantees because this is an open chat. Everything that's planned, everything that you can guarantee, I've already said. From here on, it's whatever people say to me. So I do have one here now. And I'm done plugging the trip and telling people what's going on. So I'm curious for you, have you ever been to Italy or to Rome in particular? Oh, sure. Have you ever been to Italy? No? I think your profile, I glanced at it a second there while I was looking at my phone. Are you from New York? Is that right? Oh, that's awesome. Well, this is my third time going to Italy, and this will be my third time going to Rome. I went to Rome each time. And that's sort of where I get, I guess, my grounds to scope Rome in the first place is because I have been there. No, I'm from Florida. I've been there a few times, and the destinations that I'm going to, I'm not just going to Rome. I'm actually going to Verona and to Milan as well. I just figured, I've already seen a couple of the things, and I already know what's interesting to an outsider, to an American, and so I figured I'd share it with you guys. And of course, share it in the English language. Welcome to the one that just joined. Feel free to jump into the discussion if you'd like. So what I do is I open up these chats. I've met locals from Rome. I've met people from Sicily. Hey, I appreciate that. Bring in people to continue the discussion. I've met people from all over Italy so far. I've met people from Sweden. I met somebody earlier from Brussels. And different people are coming in with different bits of information. It's been really great to find out what locals think are good places to be. So far in Rome, people have recommended me to go to the Eur district. It's EUR. And with that, I'm hoping to get a perspective, on what it is that locals actually enjoy on their free time, which obviously is not going to be the tourist spots. So I would assume for you, being from New York, you don't go to the same spots that everybody sees on TV every day. And that's what I've been asking the locals. I've met 3 people from Rome, and they've all made different types of suggestions based off of food, based off of location, different things like that. So. Because I do intend to keep these about a half hour in length, instead of letting it be dead air, if you're watching this on the replay, and I have done this, like I said, this is about my 10th time, instead of letting there be dead air, what I'll do is I'll research points of interests. Usually it's on my computer. At the moment it's going to be on my second device. And from there I'll just kind of let you guys know what it is that I'm seeing, and kind of, I guess when there's not an active chat going on, let you guys see the planning phase. Because really, let's just be honest. I've jumped in a couple scopes before, and when someone's just sitting there not saying anything and just waiting for someone to ask questions, it's not so fun. So I don't want that to be you guys' experience. I don't want you to sit here and be bored. So for example, if you actually just look up the points of interest, if you just, I guess, Google that, I've been to, there's so many. So out of 15, I've been to 13 of these so far. So just to let you know, and I don't know, you see this in pop culture, but there's a lot. There's the Pantheon. They have the world's largest unsupported dome. It's still the world's largest unsupported dome, even though it was built years ago. They have the Colosseum, Trevi Fountain. It'll be really interesting to see the Fountain of Trevi this time around, because in my first trip, it was actually raining when I was there. And in my second trip, it was under construction. So I haven't really had time to sit down and enjoy that quite yet. Welcome to the chat. It's just you and I at the moment. I'm just sharing a trip that I'll be taking in a couple weeks to Rome, and I'm just giving the viewers an opportunity to have a say in what it is that I see and do. The Colosseum is quite popular, but most people don't realize that it was actually much larger from a historical standpoint. What's remaining is a very small outline of what it was in its, obviously in its prime. Piazza Navona? I've been to these plazas. I've been to a lot of the plazas. I've been to the Roman Forum, the St. Peter's Basilica. I do have a treat for the St. Peter's Basilica. I made a little discovery the last time I was there. You're able to get a great vantage point if you know where to go and how to go to it. If you check out my Instagram, you can actually see that vantage point. I've already posted a picture from my last trip. This time around, I'm looking to bring it live, though, on video through Periscope. The Spanish Steps, I will return to. It's an interesting story about the Spanish Steps, and people wonder about the name. It has to do with the church at the top of the hill, or at the top of the steps in this case. I haven't gone with that picture perfect, the Spanish Steps with the flowers. I've actually missed it both times. Both times I've gone in May in the past, and the last time I was 2 days away. They had just removed the flowers 2 days prior to me being there. So this time I'm actually traveling 2 weeks earlier than usual, and I'm really hoping that I'll be able to catch that picture perfect version of the Spanish Steps. So these are all things. These are things you can't miss if you're going to Rome, whether they be a tourist attraction or not. It's just that's what they're known for. That's where the history, the culture lies. So people really enjoy it. I thought another treat would be the Archbasilica of St. John the Lateran. A lot of people don't really know, that side of the world. Maybe they do know a little bit better in Europe, but actually, the Pope's the head of the city-state of the Vatican, and most people think of St. Peter's Basilica when they think of the Pope. That's where he holds general audiences. That's the picture perfect. Those arms going into St. Peter's Basilica. And you got the really nice cupola, the dome. It's larger than life, and that's what everybody envisions when they think of the Pope. However, what he is technically, the Pope is actually the seat. He is the Bishop of Rome, and what people don't realize is that St. Peter's Basilica is not actually a cathedral. A cathedral has to be the seat of a bishop, and the Archbasilica that he is the seat of is actually St. John the Lateran. It's the only archbasilica in the world. That's the way they define who it is that's the seat there. So that's actually the Pope's seat. It's completely across town. This is not in the Vatican City state. It's not within the walls of the Vatican City. However, a little fun fact, it's actually an annex of the Vatican City. So if you go to St. John the Lateran, there'll actually be military. There'll actually be people protecting that property. That property is actually it's a sovereign property of the Vatican City, although it's annexed. It's across town from the Vatican itself. So I actually did not know that on my first trip. I found that out on my second trip, and I went there and took a visit. Though the Pope's not there, it is where the Pope used to live. It is where the Pope used to live prior to having St. Peter's Basilica. St. Peter's is quite new. It's actually quite new in a historical context. And, not too long ago, people would consider St. John the Lateran when they thought of the Pope. So technically, it still is his seat, and I look forward to sharing that with you guys. And hopefully, that's the kind of information that I can push out there to the viewers as it is. I'm showing these things. So I think those are the kinds of things that I think will be fun. So I don't want to just show you this building or show you just these streets, because let's just face it, there's a lot of cathedral-like buildings or cathedral-like churches in Rome. However, there's few that are like that one. So, and a little fun fact, I'll give you a spoiler here. Inside of the St. Peter's Basilica, there's a famous place, the awning where it is that the Pope sits. They actually have a miniature version of that inside of St. John the Lateran. So So we'll show you that. That's going to be one of the points of interest that I'm going to. Another one like Santa Maria Maggiore or St. Mary the Major. I haven't been to that one, but I have been to Castel Sant'Angelo. I'll share that with you guys. Piazza Venezia. I've actually been behind that because it's on the top of the hill behind the Forum. I've never been inside of the building. I've actually never been inside of the building. So that might be something I'll try out. That might be something that I'll take a look at this time around. So, you guys, there's just so much to do. There's so much to see. There's so much. It's crazy. One thing I look forward to in these chats, I had someone from Rome in my chat earlier. However, he didn't speak as much English. Hello, welcome. He did not speak as much English, and he kind of left before we can get to it. But I was really trying to get some recommendations on food to try. Ça va. I only speak English, American English. I'm sorry. So I'm trying to find these suggestions for foods to try. You know, that I like to see. You know, there's this defining feature of a traveler and of a tourist. And I always try to be the traveler, not the tourist. I don't want to go and stay in the resort and be on my little golden hill and look down on the people and just say that, you know, the world is mine for the taking. I would rather go to a place and see it as the locals see it and enjoy it as the locals enjoy it. So this has been a common feature. If you watch my information scope, if you're watching this on the replay, I do have an information scope on my catch. It's about 30 minutes in length. It in very much detail actually explains everything that it is that I'm doing and why I'm doing it. ZZ. I would love to chat. I'd love to have a chat. Do you speak English, though? Can we chat in English? Melanie? Melanie, I'll be going to Rome. I'd love to chat. Oui. I'm assuming this is French. Oui, we can chat in English. So, I do want to see the locals' view, and I have tried to do that. Even my hotel is not in the tourist district. I walk about a mile before I can get to the closest metro to take me to the tourist district. My hotel is actually in a residential area. Melanie, you're sticking around for someone that doesn't want to talk. Do you have an opinion about Rome? Have you ever been? Peter. I will go to St. Peter's Basilica if that's what you're talking about. I will go to St. Peter's Basilica. Yes. I have a treat for that. I have a special view that not very many people see from St. Peter's Basilica. I will share that with you. Melanie, if you use a translator to chat and you want to be a part of the discussion, you can always translate and write me on Twitter. Write me on Twitter or write me on Instagram. Carote. Melanie, are you French? Is that French you speak, Melanie? QQ. I looked this up. I googled. I translated this. It just says carrot. So that's the vantage point. That's what I look forward to getting from people. I was talking about the food and talking about the locals' perspective. That's why I may return to the Euro District, and that's why I look forward to getting suggestions for the food. So that's just something that I look forward to getting out of these chats. I don't know if you guys noticed this person. They left and then they came back. I think because I'm so loud. I've tried to keep it down. That's why I have the headphones on. All right. My French friend has left me. Sorry, Melody. I've gotten time zones make a difference, guys. It is 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time of the United States, which I believe makes it at like 1:30 in the morning in Italy and in Germany. That they're all in the same time zone, the places that I'm going. So the chances of me getting a local are slim to none in the chats. So really, these evening chats are more for Americans, and in about 1 hour's time, it could be for Far East Asians. I mean, it's 6:30 in the morning there right now, and in some parts of Asia, 7:30. I wouldn't expect people to be up that early to be a part of the chat, but there's this time of day, I would expect more Americans to be in the chat at 6:30. On the coast, it's 4:30. I'm on Central, so on Eastern, it's 7:30. So I would expect more people from the U.S. As we had in the beginning of this chat, someone from New York, which he said he gave me a follow, but then he left without goodbye. So that's kind of sad. If you are watching this and you're just still waiting for me to do more updates, I know I'm throwing tidbits of information out, and I know it seems kind of random and jumbled. If you go to my catch page, which I've already plugged at the 5-minute mark, if you go to this video, go back to the 5-minute mark if you didn't see that in the beginning. It has a card of my information on it. And if you go to my catch page under the collection Eurotrip 3 Prep, there'll be an overview. The exact name escapes me, but it says Europe Trip Overview, I believe. And it's about 30 minutes of me explaining in detail everything you can expect from me, all the promises that I'm making, and all sorts of, all the technical parts of this trip, all of the things that you can expect from me. And it also explains the why, it explains the format, it explains the length of each scope. It's really where you're going to get all the information without it being just scatterbrained. I am very curious to see my New York friend, wasn't as faithful as he promised. My New York friend did not give me a follow. If you're wanting to be a part of one of these chats in real time and you're watching this on the replay, I will do these, and I will do these often. Like I said, I try to time these to where they're sensible for different time zones, for different audiences, different crowds. So maybe a lot of Americans are at dinner right now, but in a couple hours' time when I run another scope, which will probably be closer to maybe 9 or 10 p.m. my time, that'll be, when I would expect maybe someone from Europe to jump in, because it'll be the morning time there, maybe a little more likely. So I would expect it maybe on the polar ends of their days, between 8 and 10 a.m. their time, and maybe 7 and 10 p.m. their time, that I would expect someone local to be in the chat. If you want to be a part of those, jump in. So far, it hasn't been too crazy. I think we've had 10, but the best discussion I've had, only 10-minute long scope, and there's like 10 people, and there are 5 people, and there's 7 people in there. And, it's some of the best discussion we've had yet, because 3 or 4 of them were locals. So I'm going to stick around for a little bit. I don't know if you're new to scoping and you're thinking, why is this guy sticking around with no one on here? It's real simple. If you turn off the camera, no one's going to join. Nobody has the chance to join once you've entered the scope. So I know two of the 5, I think about 5 locals that I met that are from Europe that actually have experience in Italy and in Germany. 2 of the 5 joined in the last 5 to 10 minutes of my chats. And one of those, it was dead air for about 15 minutes. So all you can do is just leave the camera on and wait for someone to join. I know you guys see everyone walking around. I'm in a busy area. Showed you. This is just a parking area, and that's a dorm, football stadium, track, field office, an arena, and they're just parking for days. Even my vehicle is one of these. So people keep parking, and I'm at a bookstore or a Starbucks. So that's what you see here. Starbucks, that says Barnes & Noble, this is my university, and this is probably Starbucks. You can see like a nice little sunset going on right there. So, going on right behind me. And I'm going to go enjoy that sunset in just a couple minutes' time. I think I've been on. Oh no, I've actually cleared the notification. Oh no. Let me see here. I have been on, 15 minutes? Does 15 minutes sound? I don't know what that sounds like to you guys. I think 15 minutes. I'd love to go enjoy whatever sound that is behind me. Who was this person? Another part of the trip, people ask me, I'm from the United States, about the driving. This is the second time that I've actually made the trip through driving. The first trip that I went, I've driven, and then this time I'm driving. The second trip, I actually flew directly to Rome, and flew from Rome to Stuttgart, Stuttgart to Paris, Paris to Stuttgart. I did everything flying. My second trip. It is a little difficult to get used to some of the driving, customs there, or to just get used to the patterns, I guess would be the better way of looking at it. But it's not impossible. Welcome. This is just an open chat. Gives the viewers a chance to tell me what it is you may want to see in Rome. Open chat. So you have the opportunity to tell me what you think may be interesting in Rome. Because what's going to happen is in less than 2 weeks, I will go to Rome, and I will show people Rome. But I have a week in Rome, and I'm giving people the opportunity to give me suggestions, and I have a little bit of flexibility while I'm there, so I'll be able to maybe go to some of these places that people tell me about. Well, in this trip, I will show you... No, not in this chat. I'm in public. Look at this. This is a university. Probably not. So I'll show you Rome, and I'll show you Verona, and I'll show you Milan. Can't help you with that one. But I can show you traveling. So, I did not catch her last comment to give her a block. So, you can actually block on replay, and I always want to try replays just to see what it is that I've already said, what I haven't said, and what I forgot to say, or didn't say correctly. So I'll give her a block on the replay. It'll be my little 1-2 punch, boo-boo. So driving there is not as hard as it sounds. You can get an international driver's license, and all that means there are a multitude of countries that are a part of these agreements in the 40s. I think 49 was one of the days, or one of the years, and multitude of countries that have agreed to have reciprocity with these licenses, which just means I could take my license and drive in other countries with no special anything. There are time restrictions, there are vehicle restrictions, but for the most part, if you're just driving a regular car, you can go to a lot of countries. However, you can get what they call an international driver's license, and all that is just an official translation of my license. That's all it is. So what I've done, I've gone to AAA, that's who you go to in the United States, and you pay like $15, and they'll give you an official translation of your license. And you carry that along with your regular license. You can drive for up to like 90 days, I think. So the first couple times I was on the Autobahn in Germany, I had locals with me. My wife's cousins are in Germany, so they were with me. He kind of helped me like, okay, this symbol means you can drive as fast as you want. This symbol means you have to kind of follow the speed limit. And then there's another sign that actually stands for strict enforcement, which means you have to go the speed limit as it is marked, and they will have no exceptions. It's not like the United States where you go like 5 over. Certain signs mean absolute enforcement. It's the middle sign where you got like a 5 to 10 mile leeway, and then there's one where it means open, and it just means go. And really what it means is stay out of other people's way. So once you got used to it, though, I drove for a couple days before I drove down to Rome, and it's not that hard to get used to. You just stay out of the left lane, and when you get comfortable enough with the speed, you can kind of get in maybe the middle lane. But realistically, the harder driving was not actually the Autobahn, it was the Autostrade in Italy. So going down through the Alps, through the Swiss side, and going into Milan, the traffic it's all mountain. And by the time you get out of the mountain, you're in Milan. That's no problem. But when you go out of Milan and you cut from the northern side of the state and you just cut over and start swinging down. It's kind of like how the Florida, the state I live in, has a panhandle. So you kind of come up and swing down. That autostrade, that was the most intense driving I've ever done. You're talking hours, more than 1 hour at a time, more than 2 hours at a time, going over 100 miles per hour. The kilometers, I don't even know the equivalent. I really don't. But to be honest, the autostrade to me was much more intense than the Autobahn. So it's not that hard to get used to, but it is something that's different for Americans, and I don't think it's for everyone. So, but I don't worry too much about it. Welcome. Do you have an opinion about what to see in Rome? Do you think you would like the idea of seeing Rome at all, Sean? I am at Troy University. You can see right here, I think. And I believe on the map it shows... It might locate me at Troy University. Have you ever been, or are you just interested in it? Check it out. Yeah, it does show exact location. Interested? Well, I'm going in 2 weeks. It'll be my third trip. And I'm going to share some of the things that I found the first 2 trips. And what I've been doing is I've been having open chats every couple of hours for a couple of days now. This is about my 10th or 11th chat. And I've been meeting locals from Italy, and I've been meeting people from the United States all around the world. And they've been kind of giving me suggestions of new things that I should see. So I'm going to try to share things that I already know from my previous trips, and then things that people tell me, based off these chats. Sure. It's okay. So, that's neither here nor there. In and out. Alrighty then. Well, so the trip's going to happen regardless. The discussions will happen between now and then they'll continue once I get there, just because I'll be in a different location on the Periscope map. I think it'll be different. Are you staying or are you going, buddy? I've lost track of time. I think 25 minutes. I really don't want to push these past 30. The other day, I watch all my replays, and really, if I say I don't want to push it past 30, maybe it's just for me. But the other day, I think I was at minute 27, and someone jumped in, and I ended up talking to about an hour. So, seems like a good stopping point. I think we got Sean coming in and out. I'm out of specific places I want to mention in Rome. So if you're watching the replay to this point, and I do have, by the way, thank you for those who watch more than one of my replays. I think it's interesting you never joined live, but I can appreciate that you watch the replay. I've gotten a couple follows off of replays instead of live, so I appreciate you to that point. If you are watching, I'm going to plug my information one more time. If you want to be a part of the discussion, jump on Instagram. I have a couple direct messages going on right now with some locals. Or you can go Twitter. If you don't want it to be private, you can just do a public tweet. That's fine. Or if you follow me on Twitter, I guess I can follow you back. We can have a direct tweet there as well. So I will have another one of these chats in a few hours' time. It'll most likely be about Rome again. I don't know if I'll change the city or if we'll have the open chat about Italy in general. So thanks for watching to this point. I'm going to show you once more. That's how you get a hold of me, be a part of the discussion. The best way is through Twitter or Instagram. And we'll see you guys a little bit later on. Bye for now.